Where'll you be going?
Texas?
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Go on, make it happen.
And now here's Steve and Michelle.
Welcome back to Mallet and Michelle on Dripping Springs, the podcast where we talk about small town charm, big time drama, and whatever ridiculous thing Steve is training for this week.
I don't run because I want to. I run because I feel like people are chasing me.
Well, I run late. That's what I do.
That's what you do.
I run late for sure.
Actually, I am. We're training to go back to the Grand Canyon and do rim to rim to rim in one day, which is just a wonderful thing. It's like a spiritual experience. One of the hardest things I've ever done.
Yeah, that is hard.
That sounds fun to you, doesn't it?
That just sounds like a lot of fun.
Hey, our guest today is going to be Joan Daniels. She's a life coach, I think, or business coach.
Yes, Dream Catalyst.
Dream Catalyst is her company.
She has a podcast and she's on YouTube. So we're always about supporting others that are living out their dreams like that.
That's right. A fellow podcaster.
We need to thank our sponsors, Nomic Power Solutions.
Backup power generation. Jovi Belterra.
55 and up.
Yes. Live your best life at Jovi Belterra.
I can't live there yet.
Not yet. I can.
I could visit there, but I can't live there yet.
I could live there in a heartbeat. They have some fun stuff.
And South Star Bank. And happy birthday, Mr. Gibbs, our favorite rodeo clown.
He's awesome. And he's 52, so happy birthday, Brett.
Oh, yeah. You got to speak up. Happy birthday, Gibbs.
Yeah.
There you go.
Turn up your hearing aids.
True. And
Mallet Integrity Team.
Mallet Integrity Team Real Estate.
Rockin' real estate since 2003.
You know, I saw something in the news. People have been talking about it a lot, that all federal employees have had to list.
Yeah. How can you not hear about that?
Well,
Everybody's talking about
the
it.
5 things that they did last week, right?
Yes.
And the outrage that people are going forth that I'm infuriated that they're asking me what I did. And, you know, there are days when you say, one of my favorite, I'm going to say least favorite things you say to me is, Michelle, what are you working on today? And
oh, God, geez, because I say that like 5 times a day.
No, what are you working on today?
What are you working on?
What are you working on today?
I say that out of, it's not out of, I got to keep my thumb on you. It's out of.
I probably do have to keep your thumb on
No. It's out of prioritizing what we're working on and making sure that what you're working on is the most important thing that I think it needs to be going on. Because I give you a ton of things to do, and they're not all as equally as important, right?
And I love it when you're out of the office sometimes because I get so much done. Well, because you have a very bad habit of, if I'm working on something, you pepper me with stuff, and I'm like, and I love it. When I first started working here, there was this whole spiel with Keller Williams, and they were like, you can't multitask. And I'm like, that is straight up coming from a man, because women can multitask 100%. And it's exactly how my brain works. So if you pepper me, I can stop. Hopefully, I can stop where I am and I can continue the task on. You can't.
It is a bad habit of mine. I catch myself all the time. I'm like, I can't. And I know what happens. This is what happens in my head. Oh, that's important. We can't forget that. If I let this go for about 10 seconds, I'll forget. Let me tell Michelle. Michelle, write it down, and then it'll actually get done.
I will write it down. Okay, so I thought what I was going to do, I was going to tell you the 5 things that I did last week. Okay. So Monday, I staged, which is,
Yeah.
I also went to one of our vacant properties and I flushed poopies down the toilet, because I don't know why, if you're going to open house and you have a small child and you let them use the restroom, flush the frickin' toilet. I don't
double check, please. Nobody wants to come in the house and find that.
It's just crazy. We went and checked on a new large property that we have listed right now.
Yep.
Okay, so that was Monday, and then with a lot of
that was all one day.
That was one day. Tuesday, we didn't have a podcast because our guest had
pushed out till Friday. Rob
but
McClellan.
We did our monologue. No, did we do it? I don't remember if we did that, but I promoted Jason Isaac. I worked on these info packets for my real estate. I did a box brownie edit. I called around for rehearsal dinner places for you. I opened title on new project, and then I scheduled pictures. So that was Tuesday. Wednesday, it was one of my best friend's birthday. You were out with your car because I also had to write when you're out on my calendar, so I know. So this is the day I got a lot of stuff. And your dad had a doctor's appointment. I opened title on another property. I worked on some DSE stuff, and then I went to dinner at Jack Allen's.
Wow.
And I always say when you're out of town, when you're out of the office, like the disco ball falls, but there was no frolicking that happened on that day. Thursday, we had a property tour, and that was crazy. We had a great property tour. We have a lot of new members with Dripping Springs Elite, so it was great.
That was one of the funnest tours we've ever had.
Yes, and Jovi provided lunch for us, which was wonderful. I paid some MIT bills. You know, your Outlook article, I looked that over.
Which you should look for. It's in your mailbox.
That's true. I did more info packets and social media, of course. And then Friday, I can't
even remember what we did Friday.
I did a marketing meeting. I ran a marketing meeting.
That's right. You did.
You had a really busy day.
I was there, but you ran it.
I did. We did the podcast with Rob, who is being released today. Right. I did digital property profiles. I worked on more social media. I had more info packets, and then DSC. And then I went to Dallas. And then
remember, and that was when we were getting the sleeting, cold, icy rain.
Yeah. So that was last week.
You know what? And as overwhelming as that sounds, I think there's about twice as much stuff as that you forgot.
I know
that you did.
That was just the stuff that I wrote down. That was kind of on my calendar,
most days now I have a running to-do list that I keep electronically. And most of the time, it'll have 7, 8 things on it. In the last couple of weeks, it's had 20, 25 things on it that I have to get done. You know, and it's like text this person, call that person, send that. You know, it's those kind of things. But they're all things that need to be done, and you have to focus your brain on them for a second.
Yeah.
So, God, man.
And if you would use TickTick.
Yes, TickTick is what would we call that? A to-do, a shared to-do list.
Yes. I am a person that I like things written down as well, but it is nice to be able to check things off your list.
Yeah.
So
sort of piggybacking on that, have you ever wondered about, you know, we have this National Day calendar, and it seems like every day there's a day. It's like National Balloon Day or National Bagel Day, or there's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, all that stuff is kind of made up, right? Who does the National Day? Who does that?
So the original guy, his name is Marlo Anderson, and he's been doing this since 2013. He's made a whole career out of it. I can't remember the name of the company. He's the one that came up with this national calendar, and most of them are just obviously completely made up. They're really just short-term marketing pitches. There's, I think we should add a couple if he hasn't added them, but what are you looking at?
Today is National Clam Chowder Day.
See? Yeah.
And National Chocolate Nut Covered Day.
Yeah, I have a bunch here. But here you go. Where is it at? They have, this was a big thing. They get 30,000 submissions a year from people saying this should be a holiday. So I'm going to propose a couple here that I have off the top of my head. National Feed Your Podcaster Day.
Oh, okay. Well, that's always on Tuesday. We go to Pigpen.
Tip Your Realtor Day.
Oh, Tip Your Realtor Day.
Yeah, how about this one?
What about Tip Your Realtor's Assistant Day? When is that?
Yes. Well, that would go along with National Don't Feed Michelle Coffee Day.
Oh, yeah, don't. Do not. I'm like a gremlin. Do not give me coffee.
Yeah. How about National Laugh at a Cybertruck Owner Day?
You know what? One of our guests coming in is going to have a Cybertruck, and I have like a whole list of questions about it.
Geez, yeah. I cannot help. I literally laugh out loud when I see those. I feel bad because those guys probably, and it's all guys. You ever seen a woman in a Cybertruck?
I know. I haven't.
I think they're all guys, but I feel kind of bad because they're probably really proud of them. But you just look like such a dork in a Cybertruck.
Don't listen, future guests, don't listen to this podcast.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then how about National Buy Michelle a New Car Day?
Oh, I do need a new car.
Yes,
Thank you.
Those will be submitted before you know it.
Can we have a GoFundMe for National Buy Michelle a New Car Day. I'm waiting. I'm waiting to pay off the rest of my remodel.
But here, I'll give you a couple that are actually national things. National Bagel Day, National Strawberry Ice Cream Day, National Hat Day, National Kombucha Day.
Do you like kombucha?
No, I hate kombucha. National Hugging Day, National Peking Duck Day. God. National Hot Buttered Rum Day.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
Yeah. And then, surprise, surprise, National Bagel Day is sponsored by Einstein Bagels.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. So there you go. National Selfie Day.
Well, going along with my National Buy Michelle a Car Day, I've been going up to Dallas a lot, and I'm on that monstrosity Dallas North. What is it? North Dallas Tollway,
Yeah.
I think is what it's called. What a crazy highway system they have up there. But as I have gone up there the last 3 weekends in a row, it seems like whenever I hit past that toll, I'm getting a text and it's telling me that my toll is overdue. And it's like, obviously use this little
But you have
link.
a toll tag, right?
I have a toll tag, right? So I don't know if you know this or not, but most recently, our toll tags are now managed by the Harris County Toll Road, and so
Okay.
you'll get, it'll say HCTRA or whatever, and so they're no longer associated with like the text tags. They are associated with the text tag system, but the way this text is set up, it almost makes it look like your text tag is not working anymore, and so you have to pay through the Harris County one. But it's an SMS text phishing scam known as smishings.
Schmissings?
Yeah, smishing. And it has been occurring since April, and it's fake text tag notices. It's asking people to pay by a certain date to avoid heavy fines or suspension of their vehicle registration. Logan got one. He was in Houston. Same thing happened. He's like, Mom, why do I keep getting these? And he ended up going on Reddit, and he realized that these were a scam. It's asking for payment via a link. Text Tag and TextDot are aware, and they're working to dismantle the fraudulent website. So they're going through systematically and trying to. TextDot says they do not send
Text.
emails or SMS texts. They do send texts, but not SMS texts regarding unpaid balances. Legitimate texts come from a 22498 number, and so they're asking you to either report it to the texttag.org, or you can also report it to the FBI. But I
think my dad got taken by one of those because he drove to Lockhart when he got. So funny. He drove to Lockhart to get his car registered. He lives in Jovie. He drove all the way to Lockhart. But he got on the toll road and he was like, I was doing 90 miles an hour and people were passing me. And he just told me about a week ago that he got a text saying he had to pay a toll and he paid it. I hope they didn't steal his credit card
They
info.
probably did still.
Dang,
You need to.
I'll have to talk to him about
you need to talk to him. So in 2007, the Texas legislation passed a moratorium on all new toll roads. But that, and I have talked about this before, but it was riddled with exemptions and allowing many current toll projects that were already there to continue. But the Texas Republican Party, their platform for 2024 was, and here we are, 2025, for abolishing all existing toll roads and prohibiting future construction. So I'm all for that, but I mean, let's work on doing away with property taxes like the state of Florida wants to do. And
that sounds like that has some momentum.
I think you and I need to do a deep dive on what's going on at the Texas legislature right now, because there's a lot of, I think what's going on in the national news right now is not getting as much attention as what's going on in Texas, and there's some
I
turmoil.
think there's a sort of a undercurrent not really a coup, but there's an undercurrent in politics and government right now about, and this has come from Trump, like him or not, where we're not doing things the way we've always done it. We're going to look at everything can be under scrutiny. You can look at everything, and if you're saying, well, this is the way we've always done it, that is not an excuse to keep doing it.
I agree with you.
We have so many things that have been layered upon layered upon layered in government, from local all the way up to federal stuff, that is just redundant and needs to be cleaned out.
I've always been a big supporter of Governor Abbott, and I think this school voucher thing is really stupid. And he's like doubling down on it.
You've really come 180 degrees because you were all for school
I was
vouchers.
for school vouchers the way they presented it. And then once I started doing kind of my own research and got out of the echo chamber a little bit, I was like, this is dumb. You know, why are we doing this? Why aren't we having...
Do you agree with the concept, though?
I do agree with school choice. I believe that anybody... I mean, I don't think that somebody should be stuck in a district or in a school that is not fitting the needs of their child. Now, that's why we moved out here to Dripping Springs, because my kids were going to Baranoff and Bailey, and my oldest was dyslexic or is dyslexic, and I felt like the class sizes were too big, and I felt like I wanted to come to a district that was a little bit smaller and we could get a little bit more attention. Well, now Dripping Springs has exploded.
You know, I know we don't feel like it, but we are wealthy enough.
Yeah, where I had the option.
Enough where you had the option to do that.
Yeah.
There are many, many families who are just barely getting by that have to send their kids to crappy schools.
Yeah, they do.
I don't think that's acceptable.
No, I don't think so either. And
I think there are schools, maybe not. I think there are a couple schools on the east side of Austin that where like more than half the kids are graduating and they can't they're not competent readers and they can't do simple math.
Yeah, I agree.
And they're graduating. That's ridiculous.
I think school choice definitely needs to be on the table, but I don't think that this option is the best option. I don't think the school vouchers is the best option.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be one of those things that the exact right formula is going to be really hard to come
We don't get to vote on it. You realize that, right? We don't get to vote on it. The people that we voted for get to make that decision.
That's the way representative government always works, though.
Well, but that's stupid.
Well, okay. Well, I have a little lighter story. You know, I was talking about that book last week on the episode. Dr. Casey Means wrote Good Energy, which I just finished. Fantastic. She gets a little woo-woo at the end, which I'm not all about too much, but 90% of that book is really good. So this story caught my attention. It's from the Wall Street Journal. There's a consumer goods conference in February in Orlando, and investors and families attend this event. It's put on by the Consumer Analysts Group of New York, which the acronym is CAGNY. People get to hear from executives of food and beverage companies and cosmetic companies and how their business is going. But one of the highlights or lowlights, as if you want to call it that, is this. It's a 10-minute
grab and go.
Grab and go. That's what it is. All of the manufacturers come. There you go. Look at that picture. I don't know if everybody on live can see that. But the manufacturers come with hundreds, if not thousands, of little samples of their products.
Look at all the people there's like all these people that are in line.
Yes. So what happens is it's like in the middle of the week and it starts at 2:50 and they have a rope and everybody lines up and at 2:50 they remove the rope and somebody blows a whistle and for 10 minutes you get to grab as much of this crap as you can. And the list of stuff is...
Yeah, I want to know what's on there.
I'll give you a couple things. There's Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, there's Pirate Booty, there's Dots Homemade Pretzels, Skinny Pop, Jolly Ranchers, there's Oreo cookies, you can see some of the
I'd go
stuff
for the
there.
Dots. I like Dots.
Well,
I like pretzels.
You know, I'm actually okay with, some of this candy stuff, but not to this excess. And what ends up happening, people come with bags and there's no limit.
Why?
If you want 200 Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, you can grab 200 Reese's Peanut Butter Cups if somebody else doesn't get them before you.
That just doesn't sound like...
It reminds me of Christmas at Walmart when they have a TV for $50 and everybody beats the crap out of each other. They actually say before you shouldn't bring your kids because there's a good chance your kid will get an elbow in the mouth by somebody. These people lose their minds. And so two things. People come with an empty suitcase to have enough room to haul all the crap back. And the conference sets up a FedEx booth where you can take your bags and pay to have them FedExed home.
What?
Your bags of crap.
Well, I was watching, I saw one of the videos over here, and they actually have makeup and stuff too.
Yes,
there's
they
a
do
whole
have
other
cosmetics, but most of the people are grabbing all the candy and cookies and things
I'd go
like
to the
that.
makeup. Do you know how expensive makeup is? It is so
I have
expensive.
no idea, Michelle.
It's very expensive.
I have no idea.
It is.
I believe it.
It's crazy. And like I've realized
That's why I love being a man.
At this age, I have no idea what I'm doing. I just slap a bunch of shit on my face and just hope it looks good when I walk out the door.
I don't know how you do it.
Although I scared you yesterday, I wasn't wearing makeup yesterday.
You didn't scare me. No. The one thing when I was reading this story, all I could think about is this just diabetes waiting to happen. It's like how you get 100 or 300 Jolly Ranchers, you're just destroying your body.
Free will. Let them do what they want. Let them eat cake, right?
Yeah, well, I know, but it's like that just feeds into like this basic primal nature, right? It's like get as much as you can. Everybody get out of my way. It's like I don't know. It's just kind of creepy.
No, it's weird.
Yes.
It's weird. But I don't know why they wouldn't just be fair and they'd say, okay, you can choose 5 items.
Or give everybody a goodie bag.
Yeah.
Give everybody like 4 or 5 of each thing.
Yeah, and once
that's
they're
your
out,
little,
they're out.
Yeah, your little gift bag. Because isn't that what they normally do at things like that? You go to a conference and they give you a little bag.
That seems like a liability issue.
Yeah, it does. But anyway,
Yeah,
so
for
if you want to go get diabetes and get fat, go to the CAGNY, whatever it is.
Well, I don't have to
in
go to the
Orlando.
conference to get diabetes and get fat. I can do that from the comfort of my own.
can.
But wait, so like you eat all the candy here.
You know what?
You are the candy
Oh, I
fiend.
know. I've got a sugar tooth, but I try to do it in moderation.
Okay.
Actually,
Crackhead.
I would have Reese's peanut butter cups. I know. Boy, yeah, that's pretty hypocritical, wasn't it?
When you eat a Reese's peanut butter cup, do you like just bite into it?
I put the whole thing in my mouth.
Really?
Yeah, I put the whole thing in my mouth.
Like when I eat a peanut M&M, which I don't really like peanuts, but if I eat a peanut M&M, I like to eat the chocolate off and then I eat the peanut.
No way.
And then
It's too messy.
If I eat a Reese's peanut butter cup, I like to eat the whole outside and then throw the inside away because it's
you got
peanut
issues,
butter.
Michelle.
How
do you eat Oreos?
I don't eat Oreos.
Oh. Do you not like Oreos?
They're not my favorite.
When you did eat Oreos, did you twist them apart and eat the white
and
part
I suck
first?
the white part off. Yeah.
Geez. Yeah, it's too much work. Just pop the whole thing in your mouth.
You know what my favorite cookie is? Believe it or not, Fig Newtons.
Is it really?
That's my favorite cookie. And Thin Mints.
I actually have always really liked Fig Newtons, but somewhere along the way they started putting high fructose corn syrup in them. So
I don't read the
I know.
I don't read the ingredients.
Sometimes it's better not to read the label and just live in bliss.
Yeah, you and I had this whole conversation yesterday about seed oils, and I'm like, I'm more confused than ever. So what did I do?
Well, seed oils is pretty easy.
I went and had McDonald's French fries.
Oh, yeah, there's no seed oils in that. Actually, I think of the list of ingredients, seed oils is probably the most healthy thing they have in there. That's funny. All right, well, we're going to take a little break, and we're going to get Joan Daniels from Dream Catalyst in here, and she's going to tell us what she has going on. So sit tight. We'll be right back.
Are you tired of being left in the dark when the power goes out? Say goodbye to blackouts with Nomic Power Solutions.
As your full-service Generac dealer, they offer individually designed backup power solutions.
From start to finish, they've got you covered.
Nomic Power Solutions, keeping you powered up.
Call or text 512-387-4232 or visit nomicpower.com. Follow on Instagram at Nomic Power for updates.
Nomic Power Solutions. Protect your home, protect your family, stay ready. Southstar Bank has remained true to its Texas roots for over 100 years. A commitment to the people and communities they serve, along with flexible financial solutions, allow their clients to shine. Mortgage loans, checking accounts, or complete business solutions. Southstar Bank is your financial partner. Southstar Bank, trusted by professionals, backed by tradition, built for Texas.
SouthstarBank.com. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender. NMLS 410624. Find your joy at Jovi Belterra. Life is better here. This vibrant 55 and up community is located in Dripping Springs, just right outside of Austin. 1 and 2 bedroom homes, resort style amenities, and just steps away from shops and restaurants. Forget the yard work. This is your time to relax, make new friends, and enjoy the life you've dreamed of. Find your joy at Jovi Belterra. Life is better here. livejovibelterra.com, 737-387-6870.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallet Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at malletintegrityteam.com. And now here's Steve and Michelle.
And we're back with Joan Daniels, Dream Catalyst. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. This is exciting.
I think, well, actually, you're the second podcaster and coach that we've had on.
Oh,
but
awesome.
yeah, this is great.
I'll have to go back and listen to that one.
Yeah. She was a health coach, so you're a different thing. Tell us how'd you end up in Dripping Springs?
So almost 12 years ago now, my husband got a headhunter call out of the blue. He's an electrical engineer, was in quality department at Texas Instruments. And he said, hey, you want to move to Austin?
Oh, jeez. Where were you then?
We were in Dallas.
Okay.
And I grew up in Arlington, and he grew up in New Jersey, so we met at UT. So we were like, ooh, a chance to go back to Austin.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. And so I was like, yeah. But, I had my business there. I was in direct sales, and I was a leadership coach there. And I had probably 80% of my business in the Dallas metro area. I mean, it's such a huge area. And I had many people across the country, but concentrated. We had 3 kids, and all of our families were there local. So I was like, yes, let's go. But then when it came down to it, I was like, but I need this and this. And I just kept going down the line. And this company just kept giving him everything he wanted. And they really wanted him. So we moved.
How long ago was this?
That was almost 12 years ago. In November, it'll be 12 years.
Oh, wow.
So.
And did you move directly to Dripping Springs?
We did. And it was funny because we toured the whole area. And, we did the Cedar Park, Round Rock, because his business is downtown, but on 6th and West. So,
I know who he works for then.
See who he works for? Anyway.
My husband's an engineer also, so I know.
So you know exactly who that is.
Yeah.
So anyway, we circled the area.
Is this a big secret? We can't say who
No, he works for Cirrus Logic.
Oh, okay.
It's a sound chip company.
Cirrus
Rocks.
Does he work for the CIA or something?
No.
We can't say where he
No,
works.
Cirrus Logic is like the spot on 6th Street.
I know.
And who does your husband work for?
He works for Teradyne.
Oh, okay, very good.
yeah.
I mean, it's a small
Didn't Todd
world.
work for Texas Instruments at one point?
Back in like the 80s.
Yeah. When they made those
Yeah.
calculators.
When they first
Thank
became
God
Texas.
for the calculator, though. I mean, thank you, T.I.
Thank you.
That's true.
Anyway, so it was kind of like coming back home for us because we love Austin and we love the Austin area. But when we traveled around with the realtor, like, where are we going to go? And we had kids to worry about school districts. We were looking at the best school districts. Well, what was Lakeway, Westlake, all of that area was like super, uber expensive for us at the time. So we were like, that's not good. So when we came to Dripping, first of all, being in the hill country, I mean, it's like coming out of Austin, you just drive down 290 and then all of a sudden you hit this place where you can start breathing again.
It's exactly how I used to describe it. You'd come over the hill and you'd see the trees. It was like,
like there's not all the concrete and the cars and just
like,
all the.
It's nice.
And so we were like, wow, this is beautiful. So we looked at, Belterra, we just looked all around, and what we could find, we just didn't have exactly what we wanted. So we decided to build. So we lived in a rental property off Spring Lake Estates. And we call it the Bug House because it was a great house, but it was on 10 acres, and it was like there was a door in every room, and we were like, that's kind of weird to have a door to the outside to your kid's bedroom.
Oh, jeez.
So it was we were a little paranoid, but it was beautiful, and we loved it. It was just like if we could seal all the doors. So
There's
I'm out there,
scorpions and roly-polies.
you'd be laying in your bed, and there'd be scorpions like crawling up the wall because it was, we're in the hill country. There's rocks, and we were. I'm sure we were near a scorpion den or something. But I mean, I'm not kidding. Like 120 bugs a day. I would be.
Oh my gosh.
And it was so funny because I remember the realtor that was the property manager, nice lady, but I remember her saying, well, you guys just aren't, used to the country life.
No,
and we're
I'm used to the country life. That's a lot of bugs. That's a lot of bugs.
Country folk do not have this many bugs because they seal up their doors.
I was going to say. Or they call an exterminator.
I love that you named your rental house the Bug House. Before we moved here to Dripping Springs, we lived in a rental too because we were building, and we called ours the crack house.
Did you really?
Why'd you call it the crack house?
Such high quality we had, Michelle. No, mine was actually great quality. It was just, it needed ceiling or whatever. Like
It
there was
needed a
just
ceiling.
space.
It was great. It just needed a
It
ceiling.
needed ceiling on every crevice of everything.
Gosh. We lived in a rental when we first moved here. I don't know if we had a nickname for it or not, though, on Creek Road. But anyway. So you were in direct sales when you moved here. You stayed in direct sales.
I mean, I'm still technically selling some products, but I really rapidly, when I joined that company, I was originally a physical therapist. So I got my undergraduate degree in biology at UT. I thought I really wanted to be a surgeon, to be honest. I think if I had been a man, no offense, but if I didn't want to have kids, I would have stayed in school and done that. But I just was drawn to physical therapy because I think when I look back at my life, and I've had a lot of reflection.
Yeah.
I'll just say, we can get into this later, but I had 5 years. The last 5 years have been really rough. Mm-hmm. Like I say, I had 4 Jerry Springer seasons back to back.
I had that written down. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that.
That's the truth. Anyway, but when I go back and reflect, like I've been coaching and helping people. That's just who I am. It's like who God designed me to be.
Yeah.
And it just took different forms, you know. And I believe that's a beautiful thing about our lives is we can evolve. And as long as you know who you are and what God put you here to do, it can evolve into a magical, amazing adventure, right? It's sometimes we don't know who we are or what we're supposed to be doing, and then you can be really lost. So for me, you know, that direct sales leap, I was a neuro rehab specialist. So I'm talking about head injury, spinal cord injury, acute care. That was my jam. And, you know, I tried all the things. I tried pediatrics. I tried neonatal ICU. I tried all the things as a PT. And I loved helping people who had gone through something and that really was like, wow, how do I get my life back?
Yeah.
Or how do I build the life from here? If you've had a spinal cord injury and now you're in a wheelchair, how do you fix that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How do you go, oh, I can still have a great life? That's what I loved. I loved taking somebody from where they were to where their vision of where they wanted to go is. And so physical therapy, I thought was what I was going to do for my life. And then this direct sales opportunity came into my life, and the gal was like, you should do this. You love people and you'd be so great at it. And I was like, I don't think so. But then she said, I could get a discount. Terrible. I was like, well, I'll do anything for a discount. Let's go.
I totally get that.
I like
totally
that. I'm like,
understand.
maybe I should get a part-time job at Starbucks so I can get cheaper coffee. I don't know.
Yeah. That's a pretty big leap, though, Joan.
was.
It sounds like you had a really good career going in PT, and
I
then
did.
direct
I loved
sales
it.
is iffy.
I mean, I went from the number 3 school in the country. I was at TW. I was number 1 in my class. I loved it. I thought it was what I was going to do forever. But when you're in the healthcare industry, and this is 25 years ago, it's rough. It was rough then because it is about churning out the patients, and it is
It's worse
about
now, I think.
making money. And I was about helping people. And so I always struggled. So I ended up going from, a full-time working at one hospital to going PRN where you're on call as needed with like 5 or 6 different hospitals because I didn't want to be tied down to anyone's agenda. I just wanted to be there for my patients. The other thing that's funny as a PT was I used to clock out and do my paperwork because the paperwork is the worst part.
Oh,
and
I'm sure.
I remember before we had computers, it's like we were all handwriting and we had the big binders for
you
each
had
patient.
all those walls of files.
Yeah,
and
you had to
cabinets.
find the stupid file when you're going into a patient's room and you're like, who has number so-and-so's file? And, I think they're, that radiology left it there. And you got to go track it down before you can even go in there because you want to know what's going on with the patient. Anyway, so the paperwork for me was so tedious. And I would just be like, I'm doing this at the end of the day. So I would just clock out. And then I could take an hour at the end of my day and catch up on the paperwork. And then I got to spend more time with my patients.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So when I got into direct sales, I wasn't passionate about products. It was a beauty industry. I wasn't passionate about skincare or makeup but I was passionate about you seeing how beautiful you are. I was passionate about helping you feel more confident. Does that make sense?
What can you do with me, Joan? Can you help me out here?
Steve, you're practically perfect in every way.
We need another show.
Lies. Absolute lies.
We need another show for that.
Well, honestly, I think that's why I did so well. So in my first 4 months, I was in like the top 3% of the company. With 8 months, I was in the top 2%. Really quickly.
What year was this?
This was 2002.
So this is pre, like, everybody's ordering stuff on the internet. And,
Yep.
you know,
It's changed a lot.
You had a specific person that you would order your stuff through, and you know, because you'd go to the mall, and that was kind of intimidating. And I mean, I've had a couple of these direct sell parties, and you know, it was nice to be able to sit across the table with somebody or with your girlfriends in your little mirror, and you would take all your makeup off, and you'd start from fresh, and so I think the biggest difference is like, you're right, breaking down of how you felt, you know, no matter.
Right. And what's interesting to me was like, I really, like, people go, how did you, like, so many people do it and aren't successful. Like, how did you become successful so fast? And I'm like, I basically did exactly what I was doing in physical therapy. I just did it in a different format, right? It's back to, I think I was designed to be an encourager of people. I was designed to help people see what God has for them and who they really are. And it's just who I am. You know, and so I just brought that to the business. And what was interesting was, you know, really, I mean, within my first 4 months, I had 20 people on my team. And then 8 months, I had, 40 people on my team. And it just kept growing. And so really quickly, I went from just, you know, out there selling the products and helping customers to also helping other people to build like I have.
Yeah.
And just repeat the system. And people just kept saying, you know, what are you doing that's magical? And I'm like, nothing. I'm doing what they tell us to do. Like, I'm really not doing anything magical.
So there was a format already for what you were doing?
Absolutely. And so, so within the first 8 months, I was in the top 2% and literally teaching other people how to build businesses all across the country.
Did they have you like up at some of their big conferences and stuff like that, just motivationally speaking to these
which is how I learned to speak.
And
I will tell you, because I went so quickly, that was my first experience in being asked to speak in front of a large crowd. I think the first crowd I spoke in front of was like 500 people. And I remember being on the microphone and I had this cute little charm bracelet that I had earned through my company. Like, it was like all these charms I had earned in the first 8 months. And there I am on the microphone and I am shaking so bad.
It's like a tambourine.
Like, the whole thing's like, you know, it was hilarious. And somebody recorded it. I mean, had I known any of that was happening, that I had to speak on a microphone, that someone was recording, I would never have said yes. But it
would have gone viral these days.
Right. Well, I just told my story and just told everyone what I was doing and encouraged everyone. And I got off the stage and I walked to the back, you know, literally sweating bullets.
Yeah.
And a huge line formed. And I was like, wow. And so I stood for the next 45 minutes talking to people who had just heard me speak, that just wanted to talk to me and just wanted to hear, you know, more or get some wisdom. And I was like, whoa. So immediately I went from sort of fearing talking to people, talking in front of people, to going, whoa, this is a way for me to help others. And if all I'm doing is focusing on them, then it could be really impactful, which is the whole point.
Well, the relatability too. I think people want to know if they're struggling, they're going through a hard time. They want to be like, oh, okay, she looks like me, she talks like me, and she's in the same business.
Well, they also want a little bit of what you have, because not everybody has that same talent. They just want to be around you and talk to you so that maybe they can get a little bit of what you have. Yeah.
Well, and honestly, I think that's one of the downfalls of my head stuff around what I was doing was, you know, I was able to go all over the country and start in all kinds of towns, small towns, big towns, help people grassroots. I mean, you don't, in a direct sales business, you don't have a sign out front and you don't have an advertising budget. And so you really have to learn how to grassroots grow a business. And at the same time, most of those people never intended to do a business, you know, because they learned about the products and learned about the business opportunity and went, oh, well, I'll make some extra money. So you're taking people that really, it wasn't like, you know, you had Becky on from somebody with amazing talent that's just amazing at wine and food.
But you had to have seen something in them. Like you go into, you roll into a little small town. You're not just going up to some guy in a 7 or some woman in a 7-Eleven going, hey, you know.
No.
How do you identify?
I mean, you know, that's like saying, you know, I sell hamburgers and I'm going to walk up to Steve and go, instead of saying like, hey, Steve, do you like hamburgers?
Yeah.
Because I make great hamburgers. Would you like to try one? That would be like me shoving the hamburger in your face and you're like, chew it, you know, which is what I
do.
think of
That's
as
what I do.
hard.
Yeah.
Steve, eat it. It's what hardcore salespeople do,
Right.
you know? And the way that I did it was exactly how I did physical therapy. It was like, here's what I have. If you're interested in it, I would love to teach you about it. And here's what we offer. If there's a way, if you would like to make extra money, here's a way to make extra money. And we'll teach you how to do it.
I think that tactic or that approach is much better received these days. People feel like they are advertised to death these
And they
days.
are.
And they're
And they
so
are.
scared of a sale. Yeah, they are. Yeah, but they're so scared of a sales pitch. I want to circle back to real quick. You were talking about spinal cord injuries and that you liked working with those people. A lot of those people can be rehabilitated to a certain point, right?
Absolutely.
But really what you're helping them with is get the right mindset for
An
how they
attitude.
can live the life
Well,
with
and
this
the right
injury,
tools and the right muscle strength. And,
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, let's just face it. Like, I don't know how much percentage, but maybe 90% of life is a head game. I mean, it's a head game.
I think it's more than that.
I mean,
I think it's much more than that.
I think there's lots of stuff that happens to us, but you can't control any of that. Like one of my Joanisms that I picked up, I'm sure from a coach, and because I've been coached myself for so many years, is that, you know, life is less of a mountain climb and more of a roller coaster ride. And if you think about that every day you're getting up and you're strapping in, you're
Yeah.
trusting,
Well, that's
you're trusting
true.
that you're going to be fine by the end of the day. Because, you know, I mean, as a PT, I will tell you, our bodies are real fragile. And we don't realize how fragile we are and how precarious life is. But when you're around all of that all the time, you realize, you know,
Yeah.
you see the motorcycle guy, and instead of being like, oh, that motorcycle guy almost like wrecked into us, you're thinking, that guy is going to hurt himself.
Yeah.
Because I've
I
seen
think
so
that
many.
all the time. I think, oh, that guy's going to be a organ donor one day. You know, when they go by you at 90 miles an hour on Highway 290 with shorts and flip-flops and a helmet on, you know. It's like,
Absolutely.
geez.
Absolutely. Well, anyway, so I think that, you know, being in that field was so interesting because you also get the opportunity to see people who are living with a spinal cord injury or a traumatic brain injury or, you know, anything, stroke,
Yeah.
all those things. And when it's devastating, they find a way to make a great life. You know, you can do all kinds of things with a spinal cord
I think,
injury.
well, that's just how you approach it. That's your mindset. When you
Right.
approach it, you're like, okay, this is me now. How am I going to make a good life out of this?
Absolutely. I remember one of my patients that just stands out to me in the PT world was a guy who had really bad, really terrible heart condition.
Yeah.
And he also had diabetes, and he had both of his legs amputated above the knee. And I remember walking into his room, and, you know, I'd read everything in his chart. I'd talked to his doctors. I knew exactly what they would tell me.
Yeah.
Which was, this guy's going to have to be in a motorized wheelchair. He cannot push his own chair because, you know, your arms doing that kind of work is so hard on your heart.
Okay.
Because it's very direct, right?
Sure,
We're not even doing anything through the legs. So I thought either he's going to be in a motorized wheelchair or he's going to get prosthetics. Like, that's our only options. So I walked into his room, and this is what I do with everybody. I sit down and say, what do you want?
Yeah.
Like, we're so good about telling everybody, ourselves over and over, and everyone else what we don't want.
Yeah.
I mean, we're so focused on that, but we forget to go, like, what do we want, though?
Yeah.
And so I sat down with him and his family, and I said, what do you want? And he started in on, well, my heart. But I said, we're not talking about anything the doctors have given you. I don't want anything anyone else has said. What I want to know is, from this point forward, what do you want your life to look like? That's what we're going to work on. And he was like, but. And I said, no, let me take care of the medical part. Let me worry about your heart rate and what we're doing. I'll take care of that. You take care of your vision, right? We got to set up your vision right. And so he went on to get both prosthetic legs, and he sent me postcards. Y'all, his thing was travel. So he was like, there's
That's
so many
so
places
cool.
I want to go, and I can't go in a wheelchair to all the places. And I was like, well, then don't walk.
Yeah.
Change your attitude
You
or
know
change
what?
your altitude.
You know,
Yes,
Joan, here's
absolutely.
what's jumping out at me at that. He could have had a physical therapist that just walked in and said, well, you know what? You're going to do this and this and this because your heart, you know, we're just going to get you and just let him just go off into the sunset and live a crappy life. He's so blessed that he ran into you.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, seriously,
it was
though,
my privilege, though. I mean, what an honor.
Yeah, but the fact, I love that you said, what do you want from here on out? Because most people go through life, a lot of people go through life, they never think about what they really want. They think about what they're trying to avoid.
Absolutely.
I don't want to lose my job. Okay, well, are you happy in your job? Are you enjoying it? Well, maybe that should be more important than just not losing the job. People focus on the negatives more than the positives.
100%.
Yeah.
So much of my job is the head game. It really is.
Well,
I mean, there's a lot more details to that, but the head game is the most important part.
Yeah. So you started this coaching business and you went to the DSWA Coach Excellence School. Was that why you were doing direct sales, or is that
was
to set you up for what you're doing now with Dream Catalyst?
Let me just say, okay, so when I was in direct sales, I really felt like God's vision for my life was to be at the top of this company. Like, he gave me a vision that I was going to speak in front of large audiences, and there was just a lot of visions that hadn't come true, and I thought they were going to come true through that company. And like I said, I had 4 back-to-back Jerry Springer seasons.
Yeah.
Affectionately, if you know what Jerry Springer was. If you don't, Google it, because I'm sure you know.
Yes.
It's a lot of crazy stories that you were like, is this real? Is this real, though? And that's how my friends
That's
felt.
the way I feel when I watch that.
I text my friends, and they're like, really? Did someone hack your phone? Like, how much could one person have?
Yeah.
Because we just didn't have a lot of drama for the last 4 years. But boy, it was like COVID just swept in the drama, you know? Anyway, but my whole point is, I think that time period was a time period where God just peeled away all the layers of all the things. I mean, from family members to, my husband and I separated for a while, to health problems and kind of having to come to Jesus with my health, all kinds of stuff. It was like everything that I could think of peeled off of me. And it was like me flat on the floor. And like, it's me and you, God. Like, that's it. Like, that's all I can count on. That's what I need to focus on. And it was a beautiful thing. It was actually a transformative thing. So as much as I wouldn't wish the 4 Jerry Springer years on anyone, I look back and go, it tremendously changed me for the better. It tremendously changed my marriage for the better. It tremendously changed my family for the better. So it was just kind of a miracle thing. So when we came to the end of that season, I was looking at what to do now. And I've been talking about the podcast for 10 years. I mean, before podcasts were really a big thing, I was like, I should start a podcast or, record conversations.
That's the same conversation we had.
Right? Because I was like, I feel like I have the most extraordinary conversations with people. And if I recorded them, people would benefit from hearing it, right? Sound familiar?
Oh, totally.
So I was like, so in the process of doing the company, it was like, well, this would be something that would help people get to know me. I also had, honestly, a person in my life who is near and dear to my heart, just a tremendous lady. And I've probably known her for 20 years. And I found out that she was in a battered situation. She was in a domestic violence situation, and I did not know. And I said to her, this is really big. I said, how could you not tell me? How could you not tell me?
Yeah.
Like, I've helped you in so many other areas. Why would you not tell me this was going on? And she texted me this. She said, I didn't want to ruin your beautiful life.
Oh.
And I was like, because she did not know I had just gone through 4 years of hell.
You talked about something on I think it was on one of your podcasts. You said there's in your mess, there is a message, right?
Absolutely.
And I was reading more and looking more of your videos, and Steve and I shared with him a TikTok today about kind of faux people out there on the internet.
Exactly.
Faux self-help people.
And why do you think that so many people put on this false persona? Do you think it's for other people, or do you think it's for themselves? Because I almost think sometimes people are trying to do that, like you leaning into your friend. It's like, because if she acknowledges it to somebody that's really close to her, then she's actually acknowledging it to herself.
Well, I think honestly, the number one thing I could say after 23 years of coaching people is that it doesn't matter if you're here in the United States or you're international, because I've done that as well. I've done coaching workshops and things with people all over the world, and everybody's the same. And I think I was put on earth to to tell everybody, y'all, we're all the same.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're the CEO or you're the janitor, or you collect garbage. Like, we are all the same.
The person making $20,000 a year has maybe not the same problems, but they have just as many problems as somebody making $1 billion a year. It's like everybody has stuff they got to work through in their life.
I'd like to have $1 billion problems.
Yeah.
I mean, a lottery win would be fun.
$50 million fixes a lot of things, but creates a whole nother set of problems.
Yes.
So.
Well, and that's my point is I just think the reason people put that fake stuff forward and the social media life forward is, and the filter on, is because I think fundamentally we are all trying to be enough. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
I think we're trying to achieve in the world to prove to ourselves that we're good enough.
But it's sad to me that people think that creates something of worth, that, you put some stupid video on TikTok and a couple thousand people like it and that makes you feel good. I would argue that affecting one person in your life, the guy that you helped that had his double legs amputated, that's worth 1 million views on TikTok or 50 million views on TikTok. You helped one person live a better life.
Well, and I think, we're set up in a system now that, if you've read or listened to anything about dopamine hits, like those likes are dopamine hits, and this is, addiction machine.
Yeah, you just flip through it constantly. It's like one after another after another.
So the problem, that's the problem, right, is people are looking to get the likes and the comments instead of living a life that they love, and instead of embracing who they are and what they can do.
Yeah. Well, also there's a lot of people that are just not really true to other people. And in watching these videos, everybody's trying to be so profound and have something something go viral. They say things, they talk for just the sake of talking. Like I was pinpointing a couple of them. When you're sleeping, you're not awake. Like, no shit. Oh, yeah. Nothing actually happens if nothing happens. Yeah. And basically, the sky is blue statement. Yeah. And so
what was the one you said? When you get married, your new spouse becomes your immediate family.
You're like, oh my gosh.
Oh, geez, and really?
Yeah, it's just crazy. And my mother's daughter is my sister. How does that work out? But I also saw a comment that says podcast mic should be behind the pharmacy counter, which I thought was pretty funny.
You need a prescription for that.
How do you keep your message authentic and distinct? Because it is hard, though, because you feel like, at times, like especially with us, we feel like we have this responsibility to kind of be true to who we are. And we cut up. And I think most people know.
It's got to be a mixture of entertainment, but it's also got to be a mixture. It's got to be helpful. It's got to be interesting. It's got to be.
I'll be honest. The only thing I know to do is to be me.
Yeah.
That's kind of
to
us
be honest,
too, yeah.
I feel like if you're trying to be somebody or not, it's like holding a beach ball underneath the water in
it's
a pool.
Gonna bleed
if you've ever
out.
tried to stay on top of a beach ball, it's like so much effort.
Yeah.
And eventually that beach ball comes springing up anyway.
Yeah.
So, my friend who reached out to me, I was like, you had no idea all the stuff I was going through. And I can tell you, but it really prompted me I need to do this podcast, because if people think I have a perfect life, because I do put more positive things out on social media. I don't rant and rave about things. I don't point out stuff. I mean, I started a Facebook group for women in drip, and I say, post all you want about good stuff. If you have a bad review for somebody, don't post it here.
Yeah.
There's other places that'll let you post it, but I know every business has a bad day.
Which one did you start?
Dripping Springs Women, the #2 women connection.
Okay.
And I started that honestly because it's kind of a funny story. I was here
the number one connection was
no, honestly, because I couldn't get on there was a current women's group that was run by somebody in direct sales that was a different company.
Oh, okay.
And so everyone kept trying to add me to that one. I was never getting added. So I finally just said to someone, because I really, I know how to do business, but making adult friends is not easy, especially for women.
Women are mean. Older women are mean.
They
still.
can be.
Yeah.
They can be. But I think, it comes from insecurity. But I agree with you. But my whole point is, Jeff would go off to work and my kids would go off to school. And here I was in a new town. And I was like, okay, well, I know how. I immediately joined the chamber. I immediately became the membership chair for the Chamber of Commerce. I did that for 5 or 6 years. And so I was doing work, but then felt kind of pathetic to be like, Michelle, do you want to go get a glass of wine?
Be my friend.
Yeah. Can we hang out? And so I started that just because I thought, well, I can do events and have people meet each other. Yeah. And so that's how it started.
Oh.
And then, that evolved into a networking group and blah, blah, blah. And we're kind of just now, because I'm coming out of my funk and out in the world and doing things now, we're about to revamp that group and start doing events. It's just get-together events. It's not a business networking. It's just a help friends connect. And we've made a lot of friendships happen in that group, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So in your coaching business now, what are the most common challenges you're helping people with these days? What's the most common things?
I coach on the life side. I coach kids that are teenagers, like 15, 16, all the way up to
hard. Jeez.
My oldest client is late 70s. So,
it's your age.
Yeah.
That's so mean.
Youngsters.
You look so good. So you didn't need any.
I am not almost 70. I just turned 62 a week ago. You're so mean.
It's awesome.
You're right. Women are mean.
It's me. I'm mean. I'm the mean one.
So I would say on the life side, it's a lot about teaching people to look at what they want and focus on that, because whatever you give energy to grows, right? And on the business side, I would say, I'm really good at, I feel like in the business, when you run a business, especially a small business, you don't have a lot of people to bounce ideas off of.
That's true.
Or you don't have a board of directors. You don't have accountability. There's a lot of things you don't have. And so what I find is a lot of people are very passionate and really good at what they do, but they don't have someone to lift up out of the business to look at the strategy, to look at what are we doing? How are we building this? Are we going the direction you want? And so it's all the common things business people struggle with. It's budgeting, it's vision, it's marketing, it's a little bit of everything. Yeah. Does that make sense?
It does.
Like if you were at a company place where you were, I don't know, going to be on the, NASDAQ or whatever. You're going to suddenly sell your stock and, be a public owned company. I'm probably not your girl. Right. I'm a grassroots entrepreneur, great at something, want to really be a great place in the town. That's me. Yeah. Does that make sense?
It does.
But if you want HR systems, that's not my. Yeah, that's. I'm out.
The scary part is I'm HR.
Are you?
Yeah.
There you go.
God.
You know what?
You want HR systems? Go to Michelle.
Yeah, that's right. We are our own board of directors, you and I. We sit down all the time and we both do it with each other. I'll go, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? And she'll tell me and you do it with me too. Hey, I'm going to go do this.
You're coaching each other. You're coaching each
we
other.
Are.
That's what
you're
doing.
That's
what I do for people.
We also learned something at the beginning of this year, and it was kind of an aha moment for me. Like you were talking about visiting with your friend. That was kind of your aha moment. Ours was, I told Steve, I said, I have a bad habit of, I will run into somebody and I'm like, they kind of rub me wrong. And I will go tell Steve about this interaction. And now all of a sudden they've rubbed
never
Steve.
Met this person.
They've never met him.
Like them.
And Steve's like, yes. And he does the same thing.
Happens?
And it's just, we've worked together for 10 years. And so, we definitely have each other's back. But it is nice. We are kind of our own echo chamber. We like it. We're the smartest people in the room.
But there have been times where I've done something and I'll run it by Michelle and she'll go, ooh. That probably wasn't the best decision. And I'll go, and we'll talk it through. And,
very rarely he has to have those conversations with me. No, on a daily.
I was listening to an audio book this morning. And I think it was Eisenhower said this. There are right decisions, wrong decisions, and no decisions. And the wrong decision is better than no decision. Like
Amen.
That's
the Walt Disney.
Not taking the shot is worse than making the wrong decision.
Walt Disney says, fire, ready, aim.
Yeah,
right? That's up on their walls when you go to Disney World.
But we're good. We're real good about also when things don't go the way we think they're going to go. We don't consider those failures. We consider those are learning opportunities for us. Okay, if that happens again, how are we gonna do it better?
If we didn't get a listing or something went kind of awry with a client or even with the podcast, like podcast has really kind of taught us as well. Like if the interview didn't go as well as we thought it could have gone, instead of us at the very beginning, we were like, oh, that guest sucked. Now we're like, we sucked. We did a bad job.
That was a big epiphany for us. It's like, okay, if the episode is bad, that's not on them, that's on us. And that changed how we approach the podcast.
Yeah, most definitely.
And I feel like that's if you get that from birth to death is one classroom.
Yeah.
And all we're doing is learning and growing, in all different ways, in all different areas over the years, then you can create an amazing life because you can take the past and see what you learn. You can take all the learning
Yeah.
parts and leave the rest.
Yeah.
And you don't get stuck in the blame, shame, guilt.
Right.
And let that weigh you down. I think that's another big thing for businesses is a lot of businesses are stuck in what they have been doing, and they're having a hard time doing something new so that they can get to a new place.
Right.
And you really will keep getting the same stuff. If
You really
you can only
will.
grow to this
Yeah.
amount if you're doing exactly the same.
Do you ever
strategies.
coach somebody and they say, I'm just cursed or I'm unlucky
all
and
the
things
time.
aren't going
Yeah.
my way? How do you respond to that?
Well, first of all, I go, where did that come from?
Yeah.
I mean, our beliefs are just thoughts we keep thinking, and sometimes they're handed down to us, I had an 82-year-old man tell me that he was still hanging on to a second grade teacher who told him he was stupid.
No way.
And I was like, wow. And I did an exercise where I said, I'm going to be the teacher, and I'm going to come to you and say, I'm so sorry that I said that. I was having a terrible day. And I just went through a made-up scenario for him on what that teacher might have been going through, and I apologized, greatly to him.
Yeah.
And I remember, it was a profound moment because he is just, tears and, big tough guy, big tough, 82-year-olds today are, they're like,
Yeah,
they're
that's
tough
true.
people.
That's true.
And this was probably 10 years ago, but I remember doing that coaching session with him, and he walked away and he said, I don't think anything's ever made a bigger difference than that.
Oh.
So sometimes it's just shedding light on the thinking. So if beliefs or thoughts you keep thinking, then the thinking brings up emotions, right? That's where you get the vibe and you go, right? But there's thinking involved. That's why you get the yucky feeling.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I don't think this person's on the up and up or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So it's thinking that produces the emotions. So if you understand your emotions are just like a thermostat to your thinking and kind of like a internal GPS system to be like, whoop, Joan, something is off, you're getting angry about it. What did that bring up? Why? Then it's a clue to your thinking is all that is. But the problem is thoughts, emotions, then behaviors. And so what people want me to do sometimes.
Mine's usually emotions,
well, that's
behaviors, thoughts.
Yeah.
Well, that's how you're right.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we don't pay attention to our we have 80,000 thoughts a day and most of them are negative. So if that's like the weather that's going through your brain, we're not catching most of that, right? Yeah. It's just kind of like what's in the background. And if your background is, I'm terrible and I'm a bad person or I feel guilty about blah, blah, blah.
That's exhausting.
Yeah. It's exhausting. And how do you break that cycle? Well, first of all, you have to shed light on that's the cycle that's happening, right? That's what's happening. And then you have to go, where did that come from? And was that even a thing? Like I said in one of my episodes, like when I was 4, I remember sitting at the kitchen table and we were sitting at a bar for whatever reason. I don't remember why we didn't have a dining room table. I was 4, but we were sitting at a bar stool counter, and it usually was my dad, my mom, me, and my sister. And I was the youngest. And so my dad was, hardworking. My mom stayed home. So he would come home, long days, plunk down. Well, I got the idea in my head that I wanted to be sandwiched in love. Like I wanted to be between my mom and dad. Oh. And I am a talker. I don't know if y'all can tell.
Yeah.
I think all podcasters are talkers.
That's good.
Anyway, so my dad came home from a hard day and we have dinner. And at the end of the dinner, in fact, when he sat down at first, he was like, Joan, you need to move over. And I was like, no, Mom told me I can sit here. I mean, I could see it from my eyes. You know what I mean? From that moment. And he said at the end of dinner, he was like, we're never sitting like this again. Now, what happened during the dinner, I don't remember. Probably we were cutting up and I was probably doing this and who knows, I could have fallen out of my chair. I mean, who knows what chaos ensued, right? But in my 4-year-old brain, I interpreted that as I'm not enough because my dad doesn't want to sit next to me. That's so dumb. But that was my earliest memory of when I decided I wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
And I had to go through that. I had to go like, oh, well, that was a child brain deciding what my dad's actions meant. As an adult, I totally get that, right?
You know what the common thread there is between both those stories you told is that we care so much about what other people think about us.
Amen.
Well, I mean, it's your parent too. Like it's your first initial, it's your formative years.
It's true, but I mean, we spend a lot of, you were talking about 80,000 thoughts a day. I bet 20,000 of them are, does that person like me? Did I offend them? How come they didn't smile to me? I smiled at them. That's just like these stupid little things. And I bet almost 100% of the time we think we know what that person's thinking, and we have no clue what they're thinking or what they're going through.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I'm pretty good at picking that up. Joan, what do you think that is the one thing that most people get wrong about following their dreams? Not what they get right, but what is the thing that they get wrong about following them?
I mean, I think they get stuck on the past and their past accomplishments, their past failures, and I think they're also, I mean, a lot of times it's not just fear of failure, it's fear of success. So a lot of time it's just thinking. I mean, it's all thinking. Let's be clear.
Funny you should say that because my daughter said, I think I girl bossed too hard. And I was like, yeah,
Well,
I think
identifying,
you did.
Joan said it, identifying is the first step.
Light is the biggest step. Yeah, it's the biggest step. Once you shed light on something, you can't unsee it, is kind of how I look at it. And I look at it as having insights. You can only see so much from the ground, but if you lift yourself up a story, and now you look over the balcony, you can see a different view. And if you go up 10, you see a different view. And so what happens is you start unlocking some of your thinking is you start going, wow, that was just made up by my 4-year-old brain. And it wasn't actually real. And then I've spent the rest of my life sticking I'm not enough, all these incidents into the I'm not enough folder in my brain to make meaning out of it. And here I am not feeling good about myself and worrying about what people think of me. And do you see what I'm saying? So a lot of what I do is helping people see that there's thinking, and that thinking doesn't necessarily need to be true. And maybe at one time it protected and served you, but it no longer serves you in what you want to accomplish now. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So it's such a privilege what I do. It's such a blessing because, and I don't know, how to explain it to you, except that I think it's just what I was supposed to do. But I have this weird ability to sit down with somebody, hear their story, and then see those insights and then point them towards it. I can't give them the insight, but I can point to the insight. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because it still has to come through your own thoughts and emotions and then behaviors. Yeah. So
when you coach people, do you coach them how they can make little changes that can affect their life overall? And if you do, what kind of things do you normally tell them? Because a lot of times you tell them it's too big of a goal, they just get overwhelmed. So you get little increments. So what kind of stuff do you tell them?
Well, I mean, I start with what do you really want to accomplish, right? Because again, most people don't know what they want. They haven't thought about dreaming again.
So if you asked me that and I just said, I want to make more money, is that not
then
specific enough?
That's awesome. Is $1 enough?
Yeah.
How about one more dollar?
Yeah.
We have to go deeper than that.
Right.
And then we have to go into why. Why do you want to make more money? What is that going to do for your life? What is that going to do for your family? What is that going to do for your community? What's that going to do for your church? A lot of times the why isn't even big enough for them to get into action. Yeah. But a lot of times there's some kind of limiting belief that's behind the scenes that's been ruling the show, which is why they never got there. Does that make sense? Yeah. I jokingly say people hire me to get them to do what they don't want to do or can't seem to do. Yeah. You know what I mean? For whatever reason, but they're not really sure why. In business or in life.
I feel like there are times when people go to a life coach and they should really be going to a psychiatrist.
Amen. That's true too.
I agree with
That's
that too.
True too.
I have seen that too. And I have actually seen even worse than that, or more than that, people that have gone to these life coaches for so long that life coach is messing with them.
Yeah.
Well, enabling, messing with their psyche.
Yes, I agree with that. One of my things is I don't make you sign a contract because I believe that it's a monthly thing or a group coaching situation. And if you're not happy with it, you shouldn't be stuck with months of paying and you don't get anything for it. I also believe that you shouldn't have a coach forever. And I know some people argue with me. They argue with me. They're like, no, I love my coach. And I'm like, listen, if you're depending on your coach, that's a problem. Right. This is the PT in me.
Because if your coach is doing the job, they're going to, you're going to fly,
you don't see a physical therapist say, well, you're going to come in for PT once a week for life.
For the rest of your life. Yeah, it doesn't.
If I'm not teaching you how to build the right muscles and get where you want to go, don't see me anymore. It shouldn't be an ongoing thing.
It's not your body muscle, it's your brain muscle.
Deal. Yes. And I don't understand that, why people would coach somebody forever. I have to talk my clients out of, I literally had somebody, I was like, okay, we need to talk about the exit strategy here for me because you're on track. You need to go fly and execute. When you get stuck again, then you come back.
I think I know why people are doing that though. I think they do that because being in a circle of friends, we talked about an echo chamber. This life coach is telling them what they want to hear. They're giving them little bits of here, go work on this. But for the most part, they're not telling them the real hard stuff.
Well, and if you don't get down to the roots,
yeah,
what are we doing? If we don't get down to really, because we're not changing the overall picture of your life, which to me is why I can't really, people are like, well, you mostly coach businesses. And I'm like, okay, well, I do both though.
Yeah.
Well,
and
but
if I am coaching you as a business, there's life in there because you're a person.
I do hear what you're saying in that sense, but I feel like there are times that coaches have gone outside of their scope of, I guess,
totally.
expertise, where they should really be referring these people to something. You need,
and
if I'm regressing
such a believer
back,
in therapy and in, yes, I am such a huge proponent of that.
Yeah.
If you have emotional trauma that you need to work through and we identify it, I'm the first one to go, you need to go see a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
We need to take a break.
Right.
I'm to the point where you've worked through some of that. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to not have limiting beliefs and things that we're going to point out. And if you have underlying trauma that you need to go work through, you need a professional, right? You need a licensed professional that does that for a living. But if you want accountability, if you need somebody to help you have the insights, if you need somebody, I just say all the time, here's where you are, here's where you want to go. My job is to hold both of those for you and be on your side.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I do.
Be your advocate.
Yeah. I'm rooting for you. I'm cheering for you. And I'm helping you see your way through it.
Yeah.
And when you're in business by yourself, you don't have that, right? So it's interesting because I have a lot of parents call me about their kids. And just recently, I've had a lot of high schoolers and college kids. And they'll say, I don't know if they need a therapist or if they need a coach. And I just ask more questions like, what do you think the problem is? Where do you think the problem comes from? And a lot of times I say, let me meet with them for one session. I won't charge you a thing. And let me see if there's a point at which I think this needs therapy, medication, deeper therapy, I will say that. That's my point, is to help them.
Do you think that's coming out of your PT brain also, where you're like, okay, so here's my scope of expertise, right? And if it's beyond that, like, no, you really need to go see your neurologist. There's something underlying. And so I think that there are people that have just kind of popped on scene and they're calling themselves life coaches, where, there's some of these people I'm like, look at your life is a freaking hot mess. I'm not going to take advice from you. Right?
It's so true.
Like, are you serious?
I agree. Or your life looks so perfect and you haven't been through anything.
True.
Do you know what I mean?
That's true.
It's like, do you really want the coach that really hasn't been through anything? I don't know that you do. You probably want somebody who's been through some stuff and come out the other side and done well.
That can teach you the coping skills for how to do that. Yeah. Right. One of the things that you made me think about is that human beings are wired for predictability. And so we want to buy the same foods, and we know what's going to happen tomorrow. And we want to know we have enough money for retirement. We want predictability, but growth and change don't come when you're in a place of predictability. And and what you're doing is breaking people out of that predictable.
Well, and the other thing that I feel like you'd ask me, what are some of the things that I tell people or, give advice on generally. And one of the things is that roller coaster ride I was talking about. Yeah. Like, life is going to be a roller coaster ride. So if you're, on the way up the mountain and it's going click, 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 and you're scared, and you're like, oh no, and will I reach the top? And what if I don't reach the top? But if I do reach the top, there's all this pressure, and then I have so much, all the things, right? All your thought spiral. And sometimes you're going down into the valley, and sometimes you're on the twisty turns. And so the problem is we think it's going to be predictable, but it never is. It's a ride. Yeah. And so you have to understand that whole roller coaster is literally on a ship that is peacefully flowing down the river. Yeah. And if we don't stop, so that's one of the things I would say, blanket statement for everyone. If you don't stop and have quiet time, if you don't have time in every day where you put everything away, where you have nothing. I mean, you could sit in nature, you could put your AirPods on with white noise. I don't care what it is. But if you are not emptying your mind and touching peace, like, how can you operate in the world?
It's very elusive. Yeah. I have a hard time finding that for myself.
A lot of people are just exhausted because all they do is input, and then they're trying to perform, and then they cope with, drugs or alcohol or all the addictive things,
M&Ms.
M&Ms, yes. There's nothing wrong with M&Ms.
Bluebell.
Michelle.
I mean, come on.
Bluebell. Joan, what is
S'mores.
one of the things that you've, I guess, lesson that you've learned about yourself by putting yourself out there? So, I mean, have you sat with a client?
This with podcasts, or you mean as coach?
Just in general, like you've sat in a space with somebody and maybe you felt like, wow, I got more out of that session than they did.
Ooh.
Well, I think, again, like my whole philosophy is we're all learning and growing. So it doesn't matter what I'm doing. Like I always feel like I'm learning. What's happened, though, over 23 years of coaching people, right, is now I learn quicker. So we were talking about the emotions that you were like, I get the emotions and then the behavior. I mean, I've been many a day, mid-bag of M&Ms, like, why? Oh, I'm eating M&Ms. Why am I doing that? Right. Or mid, emotional state that I'm like, why am I so angry at my husband? He's done nothing wrong. But there's some thinking there, right? Yeah. So, yes, I mean, seeing what everybody else is dealing with and being more objective and being able to see it for them absolutely has given me more and more insight into my own things. And so now, and I always jokingly say, I don't want to be mid-bag M&Ms. I'd like to catch it in the emotional state so that then I can be like, what am I thinking about? And refocus. But I will say that one of the biggest things that I see more of is, if we're looking at this beautiful green drapery here, and our teal, and this is the wall of shame for me and my past failures and that's what I'm looking at all the time. Right. The biggest lesson I learned was how to stop looking at this, which a coach had taken a pen and he was like, if you want to stop thinking about something, you just drop the pen. And I was like, yeah, but when you need money more than you need air, how do you stop thinking about, I need money? I wake up thinking about money. I eat lunch thinking about money. I, go to the gas pump thinking about money. How do you stop thinking about that? And so for whatever reason, it worked for me to go, this is the wall of I need money or whatever, I'm not enough or whatever your problem is. I need to create a wall that I want to go towards. So, I can't remember who it was, maybe Tony Robbins. Somebody was learning car racing. And when they were learning car racing, the instructors told them that the car will go whatever direction your head and your eyes are turned towards, right?
Analogy, yeah.
So to me, that was the biggest real, like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
For me, too.
If you're looking for it, you're going to find it.
Yes.
Well,
and if you're looking for bad people, if you're looking for people who are going to rip you off, if you're looking for, being in poverty, no more money, like you're going to be around people with no money. Yeah. I mean, this is just, we create it. Yeah. So if you realize that you're creating your life, and in my mind, it's not manifesting, it's co-creating because it's God's in there. It's God's will too. And his lessons for us. So I'm like, it's co-creating. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. And even, you're talking about the roller coaster. The roller coaster is what makes life fun.
Yes.
It's like, okay, I'm having a great day. Things are going great. Okay. And the next day really sucks. Well, that really makes you appreciate those really good days.
Exactly.
That's what makes it fun.
Exactly.
The other thing, when I was younger, I mountain biked, and an instructor told me, you're going down a trail. The left side of the trail is all nice and smooth, and over here there's big rocks and gnarly and ditch. If you look at that ditch, that's where you're going. You'll end up right there on your head. So that's a way to think about life too. Focus on the good stuff, not on the bad stuff.
Though what's the most frustrating thing to me is I have a friend of mine who just always lives in the negative. Always. And no matter what, you're looking at me. You know who it is.
You're not talking about me.
No, not you. Not you. You're not my friend.
I know. I don't.
Steve is back in the, what's your opinion of me, Michelle?
You're not my friend.
I don't live in the negative. That's a bad place.
No, it's not you.
I avoid it at all costs.
But no matter what you tell this person, they continue to live in the negative. And like I told her one time, I said, look, this is just a season of life. You're in the hardest season of life that you're in right now. Like, in the midst of raising kids and adolescence. And I can tell you from this side, I was there. I'm on the other side. And just know that this is a season. And it just goes right over their head. Mm-hmm. And so I've decided that this year is I'm no longer participating in the negative. I'm a fixer. I'm a fixer of people. I love to get the underdog, and I like to mold them and shape them and fix them and send them on their way. This person to me right now is unfixable, and I'm tired of the BS.
They're not unfixable. They're not ready to to do better.
But
is what
I'm
it is.
not.
They're fixable.
But well, they may be
But not
fixable
by
by
you.
their own time.
Yeah.
It's not, I'm not participating in the drama anymore
Well,
because it's a
that
life
is-
suck.
It's called codependency.
Yeah.
And that's really, I mean, if you've ever been through Al-Anon, I feel like everyone should
Yeah.
read some Al-Anon
Yeah.
books if you haven't, or codependency
I did when
No
I was
More,
a
or-
child. I went through Al-Anon.
There you go. Well, I mean, it's a really big deal that we try to control and fix, and it's because we're back to predictability, right? We want everyone to do well. We want all our
Yeah.
kids to be, like on the path that they should, and we don't control any of that. And so recognizing what you do control and what you don't control, which is exactly what you just did. You're like, I'm trying, and she's not letting me help her. My funny word is don't be an asshole.
Oh yeah, we've
Asshole.
said
Have you
that
said that
before.
before? Right, because if you don't really want the advice, like don't ask.
Yeah, exactly.
true.
Don't ask me. Don't ever ask
But
me
then
if you don't want
when
to know
you're
my
the
opinion.
person that's asked, you have a responsibility to tell the truth. Well, unless
absolutely.
it's somebody you don't really have a relationship
What was the
with,
thing I talked about last week about if you can't change it in what was it? If they can't change it in 30 seconds, then don't say it all. If they can't, if their zippers undone or their shoes untied, but if it's
Yes, that's
if
right.
it's their appearance or their smell or something like that, especially to like, not necessarily close people, but strangers,
Sure.
you shouldn't really be saying something.
Well, and back to, you own what you control. And you don't control what people think. And you don't control how they feel. There's nothing you can do to make them feel a certain
it's
way.
so freeing though, isn't it? Like to
It's
feel
amazing.
like I'm at that point in my life, and I've probably been like this for 2 decades, where I'm like, I don't really care what you think about me. I don't really care. I don't.
Yeah.
I really don't. And I've got enough friends.
It's very freeing to get to that point.
It is. Well, and I would go back to your friend. So I believe everybody is literally innocent, and they're a product of the thinking that they have right now. And your friend is stuck in some thinking. So the best thing you can do for her is visualize her as who you know she can be, and hold that vision of her for her. And that doesn't mean that you're going to lecture her, but like when you picture her how you know she could be, or how she, better than she used to be.
Yeah.
And that's the best advice I could give you, because the thing is, they have to want to change. And that means they have to have enough hard knocks or enough wake up calls or enough, come to Jesus moments. And they end up flat on the floor like Joan did.
Yeah.
Do you think
Going, I get it now.
Do you think that some people are just comfortable in the uncomfortable, though? Do you think that that's where they?
I think
that's
people
where
that
they
are
know?
extraordinary, like overachievers, are uncomfortable. They love the uncomfortable because they're always trying something new. But I also think there's a lot of people who would rather stay in pain because it's what they know.
Well, it also gives them a chance to give reasons why they don't have to actually get stuff done. It's like, you can't expect me to do that. I've got 2 kids at home and one of them has the flu. And then the next day, so you can't expect me to do that. I just had such and such happen. And it gives them an out for just being holed up in their predictability.
Well, and that's the beautiful thing about what I do, because my job is to help you be the best person you can be, have the best business you can be, have the best life you can have, because we are all connected.
Yeah.
Like I think of us as, all threads in the tapestry, and we need you doing well.
Yeah.
We would like for your friend to be doing well, because it will help so many other people,
Right.
because we're so connected, right? So that's a beautiful thing about it, but it's also not something you control. You only control you. So if you keep being your best self, you keep working on your own stuff, learning the things you need to be learning, that's the only way to help somebody else. It's actually the only way to help them is for you to better yourself.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with that. And I also think that there are some people that are in your life or that you come across that don't like to be around happy people, that don't like to
Absolutely.
be
We see
around
that a lot.
happy
Oh, wow.
marriages,
Yes.
happy kids. And I've had this experience too. The more, I was in the dirt with the 16, 17-year-old daughter where I wanted to choke her out and I didn't think I was going to make it out alive. And, we're practically best friends now. And I have people, I like, oh yeah, we know your kid's here, your kid's doing that.
I actually think it's worse than that. There are people, and I don't know how you break them out of this, that dislike you just because you're doing well and you're happy.
Absolutely.
The only reason is because you're okay with who you are as a person. They dislike you. That's sad to me.
I remember saying to my husband, I mean, this is 20-something years ago when I was really accelerating in my business and just everyone was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what are you doing? Because I'm not doing anything special. I'm doing the plan.
What are you doing?
I mean, that sounds terrible, but that's kind of what I was.
Yeah.
And because I really wasn't doing, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just doing what they told me to do. And my husband said, because I just got to this place where I could see it turn. Like everyone was like cheering, like, oh my God. I was inspiring. And then all of a sudden it was like, you know, like everyone got kind of little like that. Like just that nonverbal, do you know what I mean? Where you walked into a room and it was kind of like, And I was like, oh no. And he goes, Joan, what makes you think that they weren't thinking that already? Like there's a bunch of people that are already thinking that. And I was like, oh. Oh, you're probably right.
What was the thing that Lisa said?
Do you know Lisa Sullivan? She,
at the
she
city.
works at the city. But she said 25% of the people love you, 25% of the people hate you, and 50% don't even think about you. And if you start to think about that, it's like, you know what? It's okay. 25% of the people are not going to like me no matter what I do, and I'll be okay with that.
Well, and you guys are podcasting, so you get this. Like, I was terrified in the beginning because I thought, oh, I'm going to say something, or, you know, I'm a Christian. I'm going to have my Christian beliefs out there, and people are going to hate me. And all of a sudden it happened. Somebody, you know, the first time somebody cussed me out on a message, I was like, wow. And then I thought, like my first thought, of course I am a coach, but my first thought was, oh, I reached somebody outside of my circle.
That was exactly what we had.
Like
we had somebody that complained
awesome.
about. Yes, we had the same thought.
That's so cool.
We were like, wow, people
means
are
you're
paying
reaching
attention.
people. Yeah, that's
Dustin
awesome.
from Austin.
We had Dustin from Austin gave us a 1-star review. Like we had, you know,
that's how you know you're getting there,
I know.
though.
Yeah,
That's
you have
cool.
100 5-star reviews, and then one guy, Dustin from Austin, is like,
Wait, but isn't it funny how all we did was flip our thinking on that?
yeah.
It's not like that thought
it's
isn't
true,
normal.
because there are people that are out there like, oh, 100 people liked us, but that one guy, Dustin, he was really upset. You're like,
people are assigned to you is the way I look at it.
Yeah.
They're assigned to you and your mission, your business, your real estate, your podcast. And if you understand that as a business, like my customers are there, like my job is just to go discover them.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, are they there? Am I going to have some? Well, if you have a good product or service or, you know, company, you're going to be fine.
You know, it's funny. When we first started, we were so hyper focused on our numbers, or your numbers. And I remember like the first podcast we put out, which was awful, by the way. Yeah. But thank you, Mike Coble, for trusting in us. But I remember I was like, oh, if 10 people outside of the people that we know listen, that is just amazing. And then, you know, our numbers continue to grow and grow. And I remember there was like, I don't know, I think we were like 10 podcasts, 5 or 10, you know, because the way our podcasts work, people, we
still have people that go back and listen to episode 1.
They keep going up.
Yes, me too.
And I told Steve, I said, where in a room, like he was like, oh, only 500 people listen to this podcast. And I said, where would we have been where we were in front of 500 people in a room
who
and
came into that room to sit down and listen to what we had to say. And now, you know, there's thousands and thousands. You're like, wow, this is the only platform I would have that potential.
Absolutely. It's such a cool platform. I totally agree. But it is like, you know, putting your head on a shopping block. At least that's how I looked at it at first. I was like, oh no, someone's going to hate me. And now I'm like, oh no, that's good.
I can tell you there was no predictability when we started this.
How long ago did you guys start this?
This is our
fourth.
We're in our 4th year.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
3 years ago.
I can't wait to say I'm in my 4th year.
Yeah. It's been a wonderful journey, and it's almost like Michelle and I consider this almost like our art. You know, like if you paint for, like you were talking about finding peace, this is where we do our art. And this is usually the highlight of my week. So
that's awesome.
I want to ask you about your podcasting on YouTube. What do you like about doing that, and what do you dislike about doing it?
Okay, well, what I dislike is that I have to be on video.
You don't like that?
I hate being on video, but, you know, my person that does the editing and Everybody Needs a Holly is her name, Holly Bolter. She's so great. She's like, Joan, I have to cut this into pieces. Like, this is how we do social media. And I'm like, do we have to? I don't know.
I've seen that, the clips. I've seen the clips that you're doing.
And I will say, if you see my clips and you look like I'm on drugs, you know, like the thumbnail is me like, you know, like this. She says, like, I've tested this. if you look perfect, people won't click on it. But if you're like, people will click on it. And I'm like, okay, I'm letting go of that. I'm letting go of that.
Yeah. Well, we're very critical of ourselves.
Oh my gosh.
And most people don't. They don't even think the things
But honestly, YouTube as a format, I haven't had enough out there to really give you a judgment. Like, do I like Apple Podcasts? Do I like Spotify? Like, we're just putting it out on everything and trying to gather momentum and viewers and subscribers and all that stuff right now. And honestly, this is the year that my husband and I got back together. This past year, 2024, was the year that we healed and God transformed our lives and our marriages and our own health. And we had a lot. I had 2 kids go to college freshman year. I had, so I had 2 seniors in that year. It's been a lot. So when I look back at it, we were talking about this before we started recording, that, I was like, I want to be doing weekly, and we're on path to do that. But like, I'm still putting that track record in place where we're just like, every week we got one. And y'all were saying that's the key.
It is the key.
It's the key. You got to do everything
consistently. The number one thing we read about when we started this was consistency.
Well, and I just look back on my last year, and when I think it through, I'm like, I can give myself some grace for last year, because I started a company. I started 2 companies, really, because of the podcast and the coaching business, and healed my marriage and sent 2 kids to college. And, you know what I mean? That's a lot.
It's a hard transition, right at that time where you're kind of becoming empty nesting, and you're like trying to find back. You're like, oh, this is the person I married 20 years ago. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's a big deal. And there's a lot of us in that boat right now.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of friends in that boat. But it's a beautiful process. And it's so exciting to me to go from being a parent, which I kind of think as, like the rule keeper, the prison keeper, to being a coach.
Bad cop. My husband was good cop. That's what I said. Yeah.
Well, and I'm like, I'm a really good coach. So it's kind of really fun to be in coaching mode and not in like, oh my gosh, worrying about my control and how safe they are.
Pick up your freaking clothes and empty the dishwasher.
Yes. All the crap stuff. Yes. It's really cool to see them adulting and thriving.
Wait till you get on this side. The grandparent side. It's so
I'm really excited about that, even though I want it to be a little far away.
Yes,
they're too young right now, but I can't wait for that.
It's fun to be able to watch something that I have, like lessons I instilled in my daughter, and like all of a sudden she's getting it. And I remember this past weekend I was sitting with Kendall and I was like, "Remember when you hated me?"
Yes.
Remember?
Remember when you thought we were enemies?
Yeah.
You thought I wasn't on your side?
Yeah. Remember?
That conversation with my daughter.
Joan, we're going to do your rapid fires here, but before, I don't want to forget this. How can people find out more about your coaching?
So dream-catalyst.com is my website.
You have a nice website.
And thank you. Joan at dream-catalyst.com is my email. They can email me. And of course, they can look me up, Dream Catalyst Podcast, on any format, pretty much all the formats. You can look that up. And we've got 13 episodes out so far, and we've got a few coaching bits in there too. So there's 15 or 16 things out there. And I would love to, I do a free sit down with people if they're interested to make sure we're a fit. And then we go from there.
Yeah.
And we figure out, are you a group coaching person? Are you an in-person coaching? Do you need to do a workshop with me? I also have some really interesting networking events that we're going to be doing quarterly that are just different. Like our first one is going to be a speed networking, but I'm going to do a little worksheet for each person so that you walk in, because one of my gifts is networking. Like business networking is how I learned to build people's businesses all across the country. Like if you don't have an advertising sign and you don't have an advertising budget, you have to find people that know about your business that are willing to connect you to others, right? So business networking is just, that's one of my main workshops is advanced sales and networking workshop. And it really actually started at the Chamber. I don't know if y'all remember that, but we started, I basically wrote Chamber 101, which they still have.
Oh, yeah.
And then I wrote the second piece of Chamber 101, which is all about networking, how to build your 60-second commercial, what networking is all about, how to get the most out of it. And then that was so popular, we had like other Chamber people coming to find out what we were doing because we were developing these people that were really into the Chamber and really wanting to go to everything and really actually get to know people and dig deeper. So then we did Chamber 202, which was, okay, now you've got the basics in place, but are you getting business from it? Are you getting it? Are you giving it? So anyway, I took those 2 workshops and it kind of mushed them into one advanced sales and networking workshop where we talk about mindset, we talk about networking skills and all that jazz. So anyway, so what I said to my clients this past fall was like, I want to do a quarterly networking event where I want all of you guys to come in. I'm going to take, I'm going to invite the master networkers that I know in this town. We're going to bring them all in one
That's
space.
amazing. You need to let us know when that is. We'll
I'm
help
excited.
promote
Yes,
it.
I would
and
love
we'll,
for you to come.
Yeah,
Yes,
we would
would
definitely
love that.
come. So
That
be
would
fun.
be cool.
do your rapid fires.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
What is your favorite podcast you listen to besides your own?
Oh,
and of course ours, but like what's
I
your
listen to so many. I mean, Joe Rogan's fun.
Yeah.
I like Mel Robbins. She's a great one.
Oh, there's some controversy with her right now. With
Is there?
Mel
I don't
Robbins.
even know
Yeah.
what's
Oh, I
going
have
on.
to
See, I'm
look
really
that
bad
up.
about watching the news. Like,
Yeah.
I like watching y'all's podcast because y'all tell me everything that's going on.
I do like Mel Robbins though. She has some really
There's some good stuff, and that her Let Them book is
Yes.
very good if you haven't read that. But I mean, I listen to so many. I listen to a million things about health. I mean, I just listened to a podcast. I've been carnivore, which is all meat, which sounds crazy because I was vegan for 6 years. But
Wow.
long
We didn't even
story,
touch-
I had Crohn's disease and healed myself from that. I was diabetic. I had sleep apnea. I had to come to Jesus with my health.
You were
during-
diabetic on a vegan diet?
Yes.
Did you tell
'cause
everybody?
Oreos are vegan.
Oh yeah, gosh.
Bread is vegan.
Joan, when you were
I'm just
vegan,
saying.
did you tell everybody you were vegan?
I did because it was better health wise for me than the SAD diet. I mean, the
No,
standard American
like
diet.
like there's the
Oh
judgy
no,
vegans.
I wasn't like the judgy vegan.
yeah.
No, but I was like when people were like, "What are you doing? You look great." I was like, "Oh, I'm just."
I'm
and now I'm the
starving.
opposite. I'm like all those years of fiber, and now I found out how bad fiber can be for you. So I have a bunch that I listen to. I listen to a bunch of carnivore podcasts and a bunch of health podcasts. I just got a book, Super Gut, by Dr. William Davis about the microbiome.
What was the one that?
Good energy, Dr. Casey Means. That should be your
Okay.
next.
Ooh.
But
I'll
don't
listen to
read the
that.
last part because he
Yeah,
says it's
it
I'm
gets
like
woo-woo.
podcasts and reading are my two things.
Yeah,
like
me
I
too.
just
Well,
love it.
that leads me. What is your favorite book of all times that you can read again and again and again?
I mean the Bible first, but
Okay.
my favorite book that I read over and over. There's so many. For business, I love the 12-week year. We were talking about goals. The 12-week year is a great one because he talks about most businesses accomplish what they want to in the last 12 weeks of the year, the last quarter. So he talks about doing your whole year of goals in 3 months. And I'm a go-getter. I'm a doer like you guys. And so I'm like, ooh, that excites me. Like that motivates me to want to go to work, right? So that's a great one. I mean, there's so many.
Okay,
How to win friends and influence people. I mean, you could go back to
that's a
all the
good one, yeah.
classics. Atomic Habits.
Who
I mean, I
Moved
could go
My
on and on and
Cheese?
on.
Did you ever
read
Right.
Who
Who
Moved
Moved
My
My
Cheese?
Cheese? Yes.
That was a
But let me
must.
just say right now, Living Fearless by Jamie Winship. He talks about your identity and who God calls you to be.
Living
that
Fearless.
one, I'm telling you, and Google Jamie Winship in any podcast format and look at any of his stuff. He was fascinating. He was a police officer, and then he went on to be in he didn't work for the CIA, but he worked for them, if that makes any sense. And he basically converted terrorists to Christianity.
Oh my gosh.
And went into all kinds of crazy situations. So.
That's kind of like what I
Jamie
did with
Winship.
Steve. I'm gonna write a book. My
do
book
that every day. You're
my
in
book
real
has always
estate.
said shit Steve says. That's what my book is. If you could have dinner with a dreamer from history, anybody, who would it be?
That's so hard. There's so many good ones. Honestly, really, truly, I would probably, my mom is gone. I would probably go with her. I think the coaching ability that I have came from her. And she was one of those people that literally just her essence of who she was rooted in peace. So it didn't matter what was going on, the chaos, the roller coaster of life. Like I could be around her and her energy was content and peaceful. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I mean, not only because I love her and hate that I had to go through the last 8, almost 9 years without her. I was like, really? Mom?
Yeah.
Like they're about to be teenagers. Could you not?
Why are you doing this to me?
But I would definitely say
Why
her.
are you doing this with me? If you could have yourself, besides what you're doing now, because it seems like you've reinvented yourself every so often, if you could have any dream job, money was no object, what would that be? Where would you put yourself?
I would be a podcaster.
You would be. Well, look at
Because
you.
I
You're living
love-
your dream.
I
Your dream job.
I really love hearing people's stories and inspiring other people to go live their dreams. Like that's the thing. And I'm like, if I could just get that out to enough people that they have hope again. Like, don't you feel like even though COVID's over and even though we're kind of past it, like people are still in a bit
There's
of
a
a funk.
lot of people that have no hope.
We had the
Lots.
funk, then we had the election, and now everybody's in kind of a little bit of like worry. You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
it's like if I could give people that hope and and not only what they can do, but like the dream life that they really want is possible, I would give it to them.
I feel it's the opposite.
Do you?
I'm feeling more energized and more.
I love that, Michelle.
Yeah, we are too.
I love that. But you guys are also in my same type of mindset.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, think of your friend. Like a lot of people, I think, are stuck in that.
I was going to say, I think there's a lot of people that think this funk that they're in right now, because it's the worst of all time.
It's self-induced.
But it's not the worst of all time. There was World War I. There was World War II. There was the War of 1812. I mean, those were really, really hard times.
Suck it up, Buttercup.
And floods. Yeah,
well, and back to you don't control a lot. Like, don't worry about what you don't control.
Yeah.
Focus on what you do control, because you do control enough that you can make a difference.
You can't control what you can't control.
Yeah.
Okay,
Amen.
so now I have 2 more questions really quick. Where's the best place in Drip for you to sit and catch up with friends?
Okay, well, I love Nectarine. That's new.
I haven't been there yet. Been there yet.
That's really beautiful. They have really great coffee. They're soon to have their whole food menu, but now they have like juice stuff. But, Root Line originally was there, and they made a beautiful space, and Nectarine is kind of taking it to another level.
All right.
And they have this beautiful patio. But I do want to give a shout out to Arit Man and Driftwood Axe
I
House.
love Arit.
Yeah.
I love Arit as a person, but her place is really cool, and it's kind of out there and people don't know about it.
I know.
And have you thrown axes? Because talk about stress relief. You could put people's pictures on the axe thing. Like for Valentine's Day, people were putting their husband up.
I get mad
Their
at
problems
Steve.
up. No, I'm just
that.
teasing. But like stress relief.
That's a good idea. Okay, so now the last one, this is near and dear to my heart because I get made fun of all the time, and so does Steve. Okay. Today, my husband asked if I was going to run track today, and Cedric, my coworker, asked if I was going to go play for the Boston Celtics. You'll see in the picture that we have.
Hilarious.
And then Steve, I'm surprised he's not wearing a denim shirt. But
Sort of denim.
As far as outfits, because I do, like whenever we do a podcast, I try to wear something different when I take a picture with a guest.
And I don't
And
care.
he doesn't. He doesn't care. Do you stress about what you wear on camera? Do you look and see what you wear, or you like?
I mean, not.
Or am I just psycho?
I just in my mind, this is how I deal, Michelle, because your beliefs can just serve you. They don't have to be true. I mean, you can't just decide
That's
something
actually
because it's
very
serving
profound.
it, right? So in my mind, most people just listen to my podcast. They don't watch the YouTube channel. And the social media is just a little blip, so it doesn't really matter what I look like. But I will say, everybody needs a Holly. Holly will tell me, Joan, you gotta wear some new things. Because I tend to have, everybody has the go-to outfits in their closet, and that's what you tend to wear because you feel good in them.
Do you know how you fix that, Joan?
What?
You get a uniform. You wear the same thing every
that would be the
time.
other thing I could do.
Yeah.
That would be the other thing I could do.
Also,
that's what I
is that
do.
what you do? Is this your outfit? Okay.
And everybody needs a Michelle
but
in their
I am
life.
sort of a template. It's always it's usually
Similar.
khaki pants, dark shirt. That's
Okay.
usually my thing.
Did you hear what I said? I said everybody needs a Michelle in their life too to tell them that they're wearing the same thing.
To give them
over and
crap
over
because
again.
they wear the same thing.
I know. I love you,
Yeah,
Steve.
I know you do.
I love
well,
you.
Joan, this has been really fun. Thank
Yay,
you
I'm
so much for
glad.
joining
Thank you
us.
for having me.
Yeah, I wish you the greatest success in your coaching.
We
career.
would
you
love
so
to hear
much.
about that networking thing too. So you
Absolutely, I will
hook us up
absolutely-
with that, and
Yes.
we will.
Yes.
We'd love to be able to network with
I'm
some
seeing
people.
Arit this afternoon because we're going to hold it at Driftwood Axe House. So I will let you know the date probably later today.
Well, wonderful. Ooh, we're going to hold it at Driftwood.
that'd
There's
be
my
fun.
perfect opportunity, Steve.
Well, thanks for joining us,
Thank
Joan.
you guys so much. God bless what you're doing. It's amazing. Really, this podcast is really great for the town, and I just think it's really inspirational. So thank you guys for what
thank
you're doing.
you.
Thank you so much for that. Talk to you soon. Find your joy at Jovi Belterra. Life is better here. This thoughtfully designed 55-plus community is paired with resort-style amenities and social activities. They offer 1- and 2-bedroom homes located in Dripping Springs, the gateway to the Hill Country. Make friends, make memories, make time for you at Jovi Belterra. Live JoviBelterra.com, 737-387-6870.
From rodeo clowns, teachers or doctors, and everyone in between, Texans have one thing in common: hard work deserves smart banking. At Southstar Bank, whether you're buying your first home, building a dream ranch, or just managing daily finances, our 16 branches across Central Texas are here for you. Southstar Bank, trusted by professionals, backed by tradition, and built for Texas. SouthstarBank.com, member FDIC, an equal housing lender, NMLS 410624.
Nomic Power Solutions, keeping you powered up.
Get to know your local full-service Generac dealer.
Cody and Dylan with Nomic Power Solutions are a veteran-owned, Texas-based Generac dealer and installer.
Offering low monthly payment options, it's never been easier to gain independence from the grid.
Call or text 512-387-4232 or visit nomicpower.com. Follow on Instagram at Nomic Power for updates.
Turnkey service including design, plumbing, electrical, and permits.
They even offer set-it-and-forget-it maintenance plans. Nomic Power Solutions.
Protect your home. Protect your family. Stay ready.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallet Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at malletintegrityteam.com.
You know you like us, so go now to Apple Podcast or Spotify and leave us a review. Why don't ya? We love your feedback and comments. Email us at malletandmichelle@gmail.com.
Thanks for putting up with us.